Thank you for listening and welcome to the Life Radio Show, a proud member of the SJ Network. I'm your host, Don Smith. Welcome to a special Saturday episode. We get an opportunity to talk to the wonderfully talented Dragulaura, Laura Meadows. She wants to host this year's Shockfest and she needs your help to do it. If you enjoy the show, like and follow the Life 1069 on Facebook and Don Smith Comedy on Twitter, or tune in live on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. on WWSU 106.9 FM, or you can stream the show live at wwsu1069.org.
The brutal presence overwhelms me. The brutal presence overwhelms me.
Well, guess what, Don? I've got some really good news for you because they did actually play a different news story last night. There's going to be a beer shortage.
Oh, that's horrible. I mean, I can't drink it, but that's horrible. I know there are a lot of people that are going to be up. You talk about rioting. If there's a beer shortage, that's going to be a riot right there.
They're going to break into every beer store everywhere.
Oh yeah. You think everybody freaked out and went? Yeah, you think everybody freaked out and went and bought all the toilet paper? You ain't going to be able to find a beer anywhere.
Oh, I'm so glad I don't drink.
Well, that's the funny thing. We should go ahead and get started.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
I'll put a lot of this.
We're already doing it.
I was going to say I'll put a lot of this in anyway, but with the beginning of lockdown, because I drink vodka when I drink.
Oh,
and
okay.
At the beginning of lockdown, I was drinking a lot more because I was stressed. I was doing this plus acting plus comedy plus the comedy club that I run, part owner of Wiley's, all that stuff. I was stressed out and I was drinking too much. When this hit, I actually, because I work a full-time job on top of everything else.
Wow.
And when this hit, I went to because I was afraid they were going to shut down the liquor stores and I wouldn't have vodka. So I went to the liquor store and I bought like 8 bottles of vodka. And 3 months later, I still had 6 of them because I didn't have the stress load I had, so I didn't need to drink.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of a blessing.
It has. I think a lot of people miss the type of the blessings that they got from the terrible things, but blessings like both my sons graduated from high school this year, 2020, during the pandemic. And when you have senioritis, you really dream about not having to go. Well, guess what? The dreams came true.
Yeah. Yep, and then they were all upset that they weren't able to go. That's been my experience.
No, not
a lot.
at all.
Oh, your kids weren't upset? Okay, I know a handful of. I don't know a lot of kids, but friends of mine that have kids, their kids were kind of upset about it. Which, to me, it was.
Oh no, not mine.
I was going to say, if I was in high school and they told me I would be ecstatic.
See, that was their reaction. It was like, this is too good to be true. And I was like, yes, because I don't have to take you to the bus at 5. Yeah. So
it's a win-win.
It was a win-win all around.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started because this is the Life Radio Show, and sometimes we just get into things before we even get into things. My guest, as you can tell already, is already zoomed in. Laura Meadows is on with me. Laura, welcome to the show that we've been talking on for 10 minutes.
Hi, Don. It's a good time already. Talked about beer and COVID and how they go together and
we've covered a lot of ground so far, which is but we have not talked about you yet, which is our purpose right now. So
I'm supposed to be a scary vampire. I guess I'm not doing that right now, am I?
That's okay. You seem a friendly vampire, which in my experience, the vampires that I've met have been fairly friendly.
Well, Yeah, you know, it's kind of a comic vampire. When you live forever, you gotta find some humor in this stuff, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what one of the shows I've been watching recently is What We Do in the Shadows. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh yes, I have seen that, of
Fantastic.
course.
Yeah. As vampires, you got to
I've
find
got my
something.
whip.
So tell me a little
I've
bit
got
about
my
your tell me a little bit about yourself and about Dragulaura.
Dragulaura. Well, I am the Countess Dragulaura, and I am going to be appearing at Shockfest on July 27th. And it's going to be on the Godzilla billboard in downtown New York. And that should be just fabulous. And it's going to be a love story, interactive love story, and the guys in Shockfest are great. It's been a film festival for about 12 years running, and they show all kinds of different films, mostly independent, underground. It's the most controversial, ultimate underground film festival experience. Really? Yeah. And they have been in New York and Las Vegas. They're going to be in Hollywood this year at the end of the year. And they're branching out, and they've had fantastic guests. On the 27th, we're going to have none other than Elvira.
Awesome.
And
who doesn't love Elvira?
Oh my God, yes. She just defines it. And then Malcolm McDowell is going to be narrating.
Nice.
And yeah, that's just beautiful. I was so excited. And it's, let's see. And of course, everybody knows he was in A Clockwork Orange.
Right.
And it's a bunch of different rooms, and each of us vamps are going to be in a different room. So you will come and visit us. And then and we give you something that you collect. And it's kind of a game too. So it's an interactive experience. It's going to be on Facebook Live. So go to Shockfest 2020 on Facebook, and you'll see how to log in and all the information. The tickets are on Everbright, and so they will give you the information on how to get a ticket. And of course, if you want to hit me up, I have some free tickets for anybody interested, but you have to agree to do one thing for me, or I will bite you.
Not sure that's a threat, but okay, go ahead.
I'll show up in your dreams and go, yeah. Vote for me as the official official hostess of Shockfest Film Festival. And that'll be in Hollywood in November. Hopefully it live, but I'm sure that we can adjust to whatever things that are happening. So, and then you can come and see me on my Facebook page, which is, well, Laura Meadows, and look for the redhead because you're listening on the radio. You can't see me.
Right.
And then my Instagram is Laura_Meadows_actress. You can find me over there, and you can find the information about Shockfest. And we are going to be broadcasting Monday. It's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. So yeah, you can't miss it. I mean, it's a great thing to do. It's going to be on the Godzilla billboard there.
Now the that's in New York, right? New York City.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with New York. I'm in Dayton, but we have reach. We'll get there. But is that an interactive thing, or is that just what's you had said something about having different rooms where you can interact? Is that I'm trying to separate all the different Shockfests out. So.
Yeah. They're going to have the different rooms, and you're going to get a little something from those rooms, and then you'll find out because a girl has to keep some secrets.
Okay. That's totally understandable.
Yes. And then for those of you that are in New York, there's an interactive street performance in which the largest, most high-tech screen in the country, located in the middle of Times Square, will interact with performers located on the street below.
Nice.
Following the performance, the finalists of the Shockfest poster competition will be broadcasting up on the billboard for all New York to see, along with the highlights of Any Last Word podcast, etc., etc. So it's going to be a terrific time. It really will. You shouldn't miss it.
It does sound like a lot of fun. I need to get to some of these film festivals more, especially the horror film festivals. How did you get started in horror films? Just out of curiosity, was that always a fascination with you, or?
Yeah, it was. I was in grade school, and I would say to my mom, it was back in the day when shows came on at a certain time or you'd miss it, not like now when you can have it any time you want. And I would check the TV guide, and I would see something that was coming on, and I said, Mom, can I stay home from school today because I really want to watch this? And she said, okay.
Oh,
and so
nice.
I would stay home from school and watch horror movies. It was perfectly okay with my mother. And my mother had a PhD in education, and she felt that, she was very supportive of creativity. So she encouraged that.
That's great. That's great to have a parent that encourages something like that, because that's
Right.
I know if I asked my parents if I could stay home and watch horror movies when I was in school, there would have been no way in hell. But
no way in hell. My parents were like, yeah, go ahead. You don't learn anything at school much, so.
Well, it's taken you far. The horror movies have taken you far. So
it's just, it's been a lifelong fascination. And I remember reading something about Rob Zombie, and he was fascinated with horror movies when he was a kid. And I'm like, oh, wow, just like me. Of course, I'm not at Rob Zombie's level, but, some of us did love that ever since we were children. So and then I'm a graphic designer. I have a degree in fine art, and I'm a fashion designer. So
so a little bit of everything is.
Yes. My mother was a writer, and my father was a musician at one point. So I come from a very artistic family, very creative. Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. So what are some of your early favorite horror films that you would stay home from school to watch?
Oh, well, I really had a fascination with the black and white ones, the old black and white horror movies. Nice. I loved, you talked, what was the TV show you just mentioned, What We Do in the Dark?
Yes, What We Do in the Shadows, yeah.
Yeah, What We Do in the Shadows. I loved Dark Shadows.
Okay. I've seen that. It's been a long time, but
Yeah, well, you can watch it now too.
I'll write that down. Yeah, I have to write that down. I'm taking my notes here. That way I can get some good horror movies that I might have missed.
Okay. And I loved everything Karen Black was in. I used to imitate her. Yeah. And, then of course there's things like Ghostbusters and Poltergeist, and I love those too.
Now, Poltergeist, I saw Poltergeist when I was a young kid, and that one scared the hell out of me, honestly. That was one of the few. Ghostbusters I loved. I saw that as more of a comedy than a horror, which I always liked to cross genres like that. But yeah, Poltergeist, that one freaked me out when I was a kid. What's that?
Yeah, what did you think of The Exorcist? Chris,
I didn't see The Exorcist until I was a little bit older, and honestly, I have a weird sense of humor, so a lot of it I found darkly amusing. I don't know why.
well, it's probably the filming at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I have a story about that. My parents worked for the Jesuit priests in St. Louis. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. And that's where the actual story is from. And it's from the book, and they wrote a book about it called When the Devil Came to St. Louis.
Okay.
And my parents taught there.
Nice.
Where the yeah, nice.
Nice.
So this may even go back before I was born. Because they were there. And yeah, and they never talked about it. Never said. Apparently, nobody wanted to discuss it. It was that phase of our lives is done. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Now, as far as exorcism movies, I think The Exorcism of Emily Rose was one of my favorites. Just the way that was shot. If you've seen that one, I really thought that was done very well. So.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them, and that was really good. I just love all the work that goes into it in the horror movies, making something that isn't really scary into something that's scary. It takes a lot of creativity, artistic ability to do that, and just the heightened experience, the adrenaline rush that creates. So that's one of the reasons I love that. And Shockfest Film Festival features the films all in one spot, new, and
now a lot of those are, of course, indie films, correct? A lot of the small independent films, which I've always thought that as far as independent films, horror independent films seem to be much more marketable.
Yes, yeah.
I think there's a bigger audience for those.
Yes, you can, well, like for instance, Blair Witch.
Right.
They can make that, and the profit on that was extraordinary. You could take an idea.
next to nothing to make it.
Right. I was going to suggest to some of the filmmakers that I'd worked with, because in the horror movies I've been in, I was going to tell one of them, and then I realized I was in last year's horror in one of last year's horror films that was shown at Shockfest Film Festival. And I'm like, oh, okay, they probably already seen me then. And that was The Butcher. And I love the fact that they have a showcase for those independent filmmakers. I think that the streaming services are really going to help bring those out, so you can see that, because there's so many talented people. There's so much art being done that you don't get to see, and now you get to see it, and it's really a revolution.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because before it was very difficult before to get anything out there to where people could actually see it, and now, I mean, now there's stuff I'm in that you can find.
Oh yeah, really?
I've done a handful of horror films. The 6 Feet Below Hell, actually, that went out to Redbox, and that was on Redbox for over 2 years for rent. And I think you can find that on Amazon now. And both.
Oh, very good.
Both Black Mamba and The Goocher just recently released on Amazon as well, and a couple other places.
I think I heard of that.
Oh, that's
Maybe you've also been in the Shockfest Film Festival.
Well, I
didn't know it.
It is very possible. You said you've worked with Donna Lee Heising before. She was in Black Mamba.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that was the movie I worked with her in. So.
Yeah, she and I have done a handful of movies together too. She is an absolute sweetheart. She loves Shockfest Film Festival too. She said they gave her her first Best Actress award.
Nice.
And I talked to her, and it was a terrific experience. So they are wonderful about supporting that community. And I'm glad that, we're finalists in the host portion of this. And so there's 7 of us. There's some groups, and I will be with Charles Covey. He is my co-star, and he's playing Immortal. I am the vampire,
Right.
Countess Dragulaura, and you will see what I do to him. So you don't want to miss that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
You've got to show up so you could see what happens to that poor mortal boy.
I feel for him. I really do. Yeah.
He'll never be the same. Oh my goodness. I turned my phone off.
That's okay. We'll put that on the blooper reel.
So I handed my phone to my son one day. I said, I got to go somewhere, but can you watch the phone because somebody's coming over? And I came back an hour later, and he goes, Mom, don't ever hand me your phone again. Everybody called me. Everybody texts. How do you do it?
Oh, yeah. It's rough being so popular, isn't it?
Yes, but I'd much rather talk to you.
Oh.
And I'd much rather talk about Shockfest Film Festival.
Tell me about some of the films that you have out right now. Some do you have any that have recently released that we can find, or some that
Yes.
Okay, what do you got?
Well, The Butcher, which is on Amazon, and also The Grim Weaver, and I was in that with Donna, and that's on Amazon. And then I've worked with Sterling Productions, and Red Moon Lake. They're still that's in post-production, and also in post-production is the sequel to The Occultist, and I'm in that. And then I should be in also the sequel to The Butcher. I have to switch over here. See?
It's hard to keep track of.
I know, I've got like 76 credits over here.
Yeah.
What else can I do?
Well, that's why I asked you rather than me leaf all the way through them.
Oh, you didn't want to go all through the list. You made me do it.
It's all about the guests on this show.
Sometimes I've been watching TV and I'm like, is that me? Or I'll have a friend write to me and say, you're on TV last night. I'm like, really? Which episode? What show?
That's very fun. That's very fun. Because I know having interviewed some of the folks that I've interviewed lately, I'll be watching TV and see one of them pop up. Be like, hey, I just talked to them. So
Right.
It's fun to see that kind of thing.
Well, sometimes they don't tell you, when it's going to be released, and you find out later when it's going to be released.
Right.
But it's always nice when they do tell you.
Yeah. I was on a series, I think still on Amazon, called Boggy Creek, the Bigfoot series. I was on an episode of that as a featured lead. And we filmed that like 3 years ago. And 3 years later, I kind of forgot all about it. And then I get a message from the director, hey, the show releases tomorrow on Amazon. Okay, cool. I'll watch it. But yeah.
Right, I know.
I forgot that we did that one. And I forgot how much. Yeah, I forgot how much of that was actually filmed at Wiley's Comedy Club too. So that's a lot of filming there nowadays.
It's yes, and then you see yourself 3 years ago, and then you get to like, oh, is that what yeah, okay, 3 years ago, or 5 or 6 years ago, you start to watch yourself, change a little bit on camera.
A little bit.
Just a tiny little smidgen, actually, but And yeah.
Yeah.
So I do encourage everyone to stroll on over to the Facebook page. Well, my Facebook page, Laura Meadows, and my sequel is called Submit to Me. Now you get to know a little bit more of what that poor mortal is going to go through. He's going to have to submit. Then I'm not telling you anymore.
Okay. Just leave it to our imaginations until it's time to see.
And it is a virtual love story escape room in Times Square, hosted by Shockfest Film Festival 2020. And the guys at Shockfest are fabulous. I just love them. They're so encouraging of creativity, and of course they would be. And yeah.
All right.
Then hit me up for tickets over on my Facebook or my Instagram, and I'll see if I have some left. Just, contact me and I'll let you know, and vote for Dragulaura.
Absolutely. Well, what do you say we take a little break real quick? I'm going to play some music from another fellow vampire, Mr. Stone King. I'm going to play some of his music just specifically for you, even though you're not going to hear it till you look at the actual episode, because editing, the magic of editing.
Oh, the magic of
editing. Yeah.
Well, one more thing.
Okay.
Vote for Dragulaura, or I will drag you through hell, or I will show you a hell of a good time.
Sounds intriguing either way, but, you're going to stick around.
Depends on what you like.
You're going to stick around with us for after the break when we cover some wonderful news stories, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll be here. I can't wait.
All right. Stick around on the Life Radio Show. We'll be back here shortly with Dragulaura, Laura Meadows. All right, don't go anywhere. All right. Hey, welcome back to the Life Radio Show. I'm your host, Don Smith, or podcast, as I'm calling it now, taking one from the new Washington football team, formerly known as Redskins. So now this is not the Life Radio Show anymore. This is just podcast because we're being creative.
And they are football.
And they are
yeah,
a football team.
Football.
Yep, I'm rooting for football team all the way. I hope they go to the Super Bowl as football team because I want that listed in the records that football team won the Super Bowl. Just because it sounds so stupid.
I don't know that much about football, so this is great because with my limited knowledge, I can just say, yeah, I'm rooting for football.
Right.
Yeah, and that's it, I know like everybody will be like thinking I know what I'm talking about.
Perfect. We're still rocking with Dragulaura. Laura Meadows is still in with me. Also, Mistress Spooky. Is that another name you have?
Yes, it is. Mistress Spooky, and she's a hostess also. And she did, Mistress Spooky was a hostess with Shockfest, did some things there. And now she is Dragulaura.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, you got to keep it fresh.
Yeah, you do. You do. I love my people. I love all my personalities.
Perfect. Now you were saying during the break that you actually hosted a radio show for a summer. Is that?
Yes, I did. And it was called Dragulaura.
Oh,
and
okay.
I played dark wave and goth and that type of thing. And it went out on the internet, so it went to different countries. I found that in Italy, they liked it particularly. It was exciting to me to find music that I don't hear on the radio, sort of like what I was saying about films. Films that you don't see on TV because there's so much good work being done that doesn't get to air. So I aired it. And I found the people in Italy really liked it. So I'm like, oh, okay.
I get a surprising amount of downloads from Ireland. I don't know why.
From where? From where?
From Ireland. I'm not sure
Ireland?
why. Yeah, the podcast gets a surprising amount of downloads from Ireland, which is great.
Well, they're a jolly group.
Yeah. Well, I talk about alcohol a lot. That might no.
Oh, that's it.
That's
yes.
The beer discussion earlier.
I have been to Britain. I've seen that firsthand. They're so, in England, in London, they're so nice and polite, excuse me. And then they start drinking. They're like, you were looking at her. They're like, holy, weren't you really nice earlier?
Yeah, what happened to that guy?
So yes, they would love to hear about the drinking, but don't tell them about the beer.
Right. Don't tell them not ixnay on the earbay ordered shay. Anyway, are we ready to hit some news stories? Are we ready to get the important news out there for everybody?
You betcha! Right. I am ready for the news. Let's go.
We're going to start with the most important. A masked thief was still at large after he casually exited a Las Vegas adult store in broad daylight with a 3-foot, 40-pound dildo hoisted onto his shoulder. He just picked it up and walked out with it, said store employee Laura, who declined to give her last name. TMZ, which obtained surveillance footage of the July 14th theft at the Deja Vu Love Boutique in Las Vegas, reported the man stuffed the stolen phallus into his car and made a clean getaway. Laura said the stolen good was actually a sex toy named Moby. That retails for $1,250. That's a big penis right there. That's
well, you see, I guess they could say he was a really big dick.
Yeah.
Taking a big dick.
Yeah, that's broad daylight. How do you get away? How do you stuff that under your shirt and walk out with it? That's
that had to be an asleep person, people asleep in the store. How heavy was that thing too? I mean, that
40 pounds. Said 40 pounds.
Wow. And then what, did it have batteries? How many batteries did that thing take?
Yeah, a car battery, I think.
Oh my
12-volt
God.
car battery. Just hook it up with your jumper cables. You're good to go.
That's truly a specialty item.
Yeah. Yeah, but it sounds like a chainsaw when it gets going.
I totally want to see him drive away with that dildo in the passenger seat.
Oh yeah.
That would be a sight to see.
Yeah, one of the stories I like to tell, when I was growing up, we had a neighbor lived across the street from me. Little old lady, just a sweet little old lady. She came over one day with a blow-up doll and asked my dad if he could inflate it. I'm like 9 or 10 years old, laughing my ass off because here's this. Can you blow this up for me?
Oh my God.
She wanted to ride. She had to go down to downtown Dayton a lot to visit family and stuff. So she wanted to look like she was driving with somebody in the car with her. And
Oh, okay.
the only thing
that's
I
your
could
story.
think, yeah, the only thing I could think is they're going to think you really can't drive well because your passenger is scared shitless.
Oh yeah.
His mouth all agape. Yeah, it's like that's. Oh, that is just terrible. But yeah, that's even as a kid, that's how I thought.
You had some interesting neighbors there.
I did. I kind of love where I grew up. It just led to a comedy career, and I haven't even really talked about them that much on stage. I need to redo my whole set and start involving some of my neighbors' shenanigans. Because she also had a son. She also had a son that he got sent to prison because he broke into a grain elevator that was down the street, and he broke in drunk, forgot how he got in, and called the police in order to get out. Called the police himself because he couldn't find his way out. He was on probation. So
he was on probation.
He was on probation. So yeah, definitely a fun neighborhood to grow up in. Texas State Representative. Sorry, go ahead. Texas State Representative alienated many Twitter users Friday with his comments on extraterrestrials after the New York Times posted a story about the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. Republican Representative Jonathan Stickland suggested that if ETs exist, they'll need extra help if they want to get to heaven.
Oh no.
Stickland described himself as, quote, a Christian conservative, liberty-loving Republican. But many of his Twitter followers weren't impressed with the theological implications of his tweet. His tweet was, if aliens are real, salvation through Jesus Christ is the only way they will enter heaven. Well, they're aliens. They can probably find another way to get there. They might have the technology.
Oh, right. No. Don't they have a ship?
Right.
I actually did see that news story. They called the ship Tic Tac because it looked like the candy.
Okay, yeah. Is that the square one? That's I was discussing that earlier on Facebook. That's a Borg ship, is what that is. We're going to be assimilated.
You're looking around, they said that they were going to release some more classified information about the spaceships and having to do with Tic Tac or TAC or whatever they're calling it now. That's just, I think that's perfect for 2020.
I think it's all a smoke screen so they can get away with doing something else. They're trying to cover something up, so they're sending all this stuff out. It's like let's wow them with aliens right now because that'll throw them off.
Oh yeah, because we did COVID, we did the other thing. It's like let's see, it's almost August.
Yeah, right. August. If there's any truth to the rumor of a beer shortage, we're going to need we're going to need proof of alien life forms just to cover up the beer shortage.
That's it.
Paper shortage. There's a beer shortage. There's a coin shortage. Bring on the aliens.
Oh right. Oh right, the coin shortage.
Is it?
Yeah. The insanity going on, and the toilet paper thing. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a harsh year.
It has been. It has been something else. So aliens, yeah, why not? Send them
Why
over.
not? Yeah, bring it. Especially if they are Borg.
Bring it.
The Borg are going to get here and say, we don't need to assimilate this, and they're just going to leave, so we'll be fine.
Or they find us so amusing, they're taping the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Look at what that idiot just did.
Yeah, I still love South Park's explanation that the Earth is just an intergalactic reality show anyway. So
I believe it. Mm-hmm.
A rare yellow turtle was spotted in India on Sunday, and the unusual creature is mesmerizing people across the world. Local residents in Balasore first spotted the turtle, according to Reuters. A video of the animal, which at first glance looks more like a lemon than a reptile, has gone viral online. The turtle was handed over to forest officials. Wildlife experts say it is possibly an albino mutation of a common turtle. Albinism is a type of genetic disorder where the skin that there's little or no production of pigment. I will get through this in the skin, eyes, or hair, or in fur of species, feathers, or with the fur, feathers, or scales. I barely made it through that.
You got it.
Yeah, we made it. Where they're thinking this yellow turtle is actually an albino. I'm wondering if they dumped some curry somewhere. This turtle got into the curry.
Or it's just like this big lemon and somebody was really super nearsighted.
Yeah.
Like, is that the turtle? It looked like it moved.
Yeah, there is footage.
Turtle.
There is footage of this moving yellow turtle. I wouldn't call it albino. It's yellow. That's weird. So,
yeah,
okay, that's another thing.
Albino isn't exactly yellow.
Another thing that's happening in 2020 is the rare yellow turtle.
Yay! The invasion of yellow turtles.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
They're coming with the locusts.
Yep. Now we know what came from the spaceship.
Oh, that's it. They dropped the yellow turtles to spy on us.
Yeah, the yellow curry turtles. I don't know. All right, let's see what else we got. I'm sure there's some more fun news here. Okay, this one's fun because it reminds me that we're not alone in the world as far as our leader. Philippine health officials on Wednesday swiftly corrected President Rodrigo Duterte after he wrongly advised residents to disinfect face masks with gasoline.
Oh, shit.
It doesn't work well for the smokers.
Wow.
Duterte suggested the highly flammable substance as a suitable substitute for cleaning supplies during a speech on Tuesday. At the end of the day, hang the mask somewhere and spray it with Lysol if you can afford it, Duterte said. For people who don't have Lysol, drench it in gasoline or diesel. And this is a direct quote. Drench it in gasoline or diesel, and that son of a bitch COVID won't stand a chance.
That son of a bitch COVID.
That son of a bitch COVID.
Or affectionately called Kobe.
Right. Kobe, is there an affectionate term for this now? I
don't know. My kids came up with it.
See, for a while around here, it was just the Rona. So I don't know.
Corona?
The Rona.
Oh gosh, speaking of, I did a film and I started it, and the girl playing my daughter, her name in the film was Corona, and it was supposed to be released right about the time the virus came out.
Oh,
too. Nice. Now they can't release it.
Really, they can't release it at all because of her name. Is that or
her name's Corona? Yeah.
I'd release it anyway. Why not?
I'm like, oh my gosh, what foresight you had, sir producer or director.
Yeah, I mean, they're still making Corona beer, aren't they? So yeah, why not go ahead and release it?
Yeah. I mean, people are just watching Corona, really? They'll just watch it because the name is just everywhere nowadays.
Oh,
but no, they didn't release it, so I was like, okay.
A La Quinta, California man is already planning to get back on the trails after getting stranded in Joshua Tree National Park with a broken leg. Robert Ringo spent 40 hours in the desert waiting for help after he broke his femur. In excruciating pain, he couldn't get himself out of the rocky terrain he found himself in. He recorded himself yelling. It's a lot of himselfs in those sentences, so they think they need to edit more on this. This is CBS. They should definitely edit more. He recorded himself yelling for help and talking about being stranded, but Ringo had done all the right things before leaving for his hike. He tagged his location, shared it with his son, and brought 2 liters of water with him. He ate juniper berries to survive. And then some
I saw that on
some naked Brit jumped up out of the ground and yelled at him for eating his juniper berries. Sorry, that's a Monty Python when they The Life of Brian. Have you ever seen that classic?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, when he jumps up out of the hole in the ground because they're eating his juniper berries. Anyway, that could have ended badly. That could have ended badly if he'd have stayed another 32 hours. He could have had his own movie.
Oh, well, maybe he is planning on that.
Yeah. I think 40 hours in the desert with a broken femur. I think you can probably sell the movie rights to that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Weren't we just talking about the Blair Witch?
Right.
Yeah, so that he can just go back and finish it up and get stranded again and tell his son where he is.
And if they don't find him, it could be a found footage later on.
That's right, a real found footage. Oh, I would wish that on that poor man.
No, that would be terrible.
You're right, that would be terrible.
I suppose that would be fun. Yeah.
So what would happen if his son didn't like him, though? I mean,
he'd still be there.
Right?
Be my guess.
It's like,
where's Dad? I don't know.
I don't know where Dad is.
They'll find him eventually. All right.
My phone's out of order.
I think we'll do one more, and then we'll find something else. A Long Island criminal defendant tried faking his death to avoid a jail sentence, but the phony death certificate his lawyer submitted had a glaring spelling error that made it a dead giveaway for a fraud. Robert Berger, 25 years old, of Huntington, New York, now faces up to 4 years in prison if convicted in the alleged scheme. That's in addition to pending sentences for earlier guilty pleas to charges of possession of a stolen Lexus and attempted grand larceny of a truck. Punishment prosecutors say he was looking to avoid. So yeah, he was trying to avoid punishment for stealing a Lexus and trying to steal a truck, and instead now he's being charged with trying to fake his own death.
Oh gosh.
Way to go. And
which is probably the worst thing.
Right, exactly. And his name's Bob's Burger too, so that's
well then he was wanting to get rid of that name.
Right. I don't want to be Bob's ever.
I want to get a different name.
Planning to fake his death ever since that cartoon came out.
Right. Oh well.
Yep.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's check your spelling. I tell people that all the time when they're putting stuff up on Facebook. Check your spelling. If he didn't have the spelling errors, he'd have been free and clear. And he could have changed his name to something else, and he wouldn't be Bob Burger anymore. And he could have had a whole different turnout to that. So
be sure that you send that to the proofreader first.
Absolutely, or at least use spell check. Do at least the minimum. If you're going to fake your own death, at least spell check it. I think spell checking my death might be a possible episode title for us.
Spell check my death.
Spell checking my death. All right.
We could do a movie about that one too.
Yep. I'm going to give you a few minutes right now. If you have social media, of course, go ahead and promote everything that you're doing. Again, if you have any social media you want folks to follow you on, go ahead and throw that out one more time. Here's a few minutes for you to do all of that again.
Okay, please come to Facebook and visit Shockfest 2020 to get tickets and information. It's Monday, so hurry up. And visit me, Laura Meadows, on Facebook. I've got some tickets to give away for Shockfest, an interactive love story in New York City on the Godzilla or Megazilla, whatever you want to call it, billboard. And then also hit me up on Instagram. It's Laura_Meadows, as it sounds, _actress. And I can't wait to see you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for zooming in. It's been great talking to you and getting to know you a little bit. Best of luck. You should be the hostess. You should definitely be the hostess. You've got my vote for sure.
So I can count on your vote, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. As soon as we get off here, that's the first thing I'm doing. Is the voting open now already, or?
No, it's going to be open on Monday.
On Monday,
when we have the show. And we're going to have little things going out that I'm not going to say too much about it.
Okay.
But you've got to tune in and see us Monday.
Make sure you send me a reminder. I do not want to forget. I want to make sure you get my vote. So, all right. Well, thanks so much for zooming in. It's been great talking to you. Thanks for listening to the Life Radio Show and this special episode with Dragulaura. And like I keep saying, if you keep tuning in, I'm going to keep making them. All right. Have a great night. Thanks for listening to the Life Radio Show podcast. Check it out wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember, if you want to listen live, we are on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. on WWSU 106.9 FM. You can also stream the show live at wwsu1069.org, and we go Facebook Live at the Life Radio Show's Facebook page. If you have suggestions or comments, feel free to email thelife1069@gmail.com.
Presence overwhelms me. The brutal presence overwhelms me.
No COVID-19, no protests, just giant dildos.